guys? Good afternoon. My name is Jason Payne, the host of the Sexy Business Status Podcast. I got my boy here, Tyler Hutchings of Solar, Detach, and Reset. I don't know what episode we're on, probably 10 or 11, 12, somewhere around there. But yeah, so I want to bring on a lot of people, but Ty was one of the ones that stood out to me because he and I work together in the roofing industry, and he actually has created a business that is a niche that I either want to buy in with you or want to go into competition against you because it's such a good niche. I love it. So we're going to jump into that and chat about what you do and how you can help other roofing contractors. And then also talk about your business, where you started a year ago. Mm-hmm. You started working with us a little bit, and I don't want to say I'm your mentor, but you've asked me a couple questions, and I've tried to help you out and help you grow and do that stuff. So we're going to reach into there too, if that's cool.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. So Ty, so Solar, Detach, and Reset. How long have you guys been in business?
So 3.5 years to be exact. So going on 4 here,
okay.
And I'd say was running around like a chicken with my head cut off for most of that until about 6 months ago, where it's really started taking off and escalating. Yeah.
And so chicken with your head cut off, because the most of our listeners are entrepreneurs, either startups or doing a little bit. They might have a couple employees, they have some sort of cash flow, some sort of revenue, some sort of client list. Nothing crazy, but they're trying to grow and scale their business, right?
Yeah,
just like you are, just like I am. Mm-hmm. So that's most of our audience, not all of it, but most of it. Mm-hmm. And so that being said, you say chicken with your head cut off. Describe that with you personally, your business, your family, your wife, you have kids. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Describe what the chicken with your head cut off analogy, what does that look like?
Yeah.
What did it look like?
Absolutely.
For the first 3 years of your business?
What it came down to is I was doing everything. And so when I'm, going and finding the customers, developing the relationships, doing the bids, closing the deals, going out to do the jobs, doing service work on jobs if there's issued, doing accounting, doing invoicing. I'm working in my business so much. I knew what systems and processes were, but I didn't even have time to think about creating one because I was, I didn't have a team. So
or implementing it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you create something and you're like, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait, I totally forgot to make it work for me.
Yeah. That would be a great idea if I could ever get there one day. And
sure.
So how do you start getting there? And it's stop doing the tasks, start hiring people and start trusting and realizing, mistakes are going to get made. People aren't perfect. I think a comment you dropped on me one time is, look, you're going to get a 1-star review eventually, which I'd like to talk to you because I actually just got my first one last week.
Congratulations.
From a hater.
Hater.
So even better, right? Because now I got my first hater.
Congratulations. That means you're doing something.
And a 1-star review. I don't know if it's a real 1-star review.
Yeah. Good. Congratulations on both.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm excited.
It's fantastic.
And then actually the same week, got another hater that dropped another 1-star review. And both of these are similar companies that do what I do in other states with very similar names. So it's exciting to start seeing these things pop up and,
making a wave.
And it's lighting a fire under my butt to say, okay, what's the next state we need to get into? But also don't go too wide. Don't spread too thin. So do it right, get the systems processes built here, which is really what we're focusing on right now in our business now that we have our team and I have time to do it.
So who's your first, you said team, who's your first hire?
So our first hire was someone to handle scheduling and just help with scheduling. So
like appointment setting,
scheduling.
Like hey, my name's Jason Payne. I own State 48 Roofing. I need you to come give me a quote to pull off 30 panels off of a house so I can do the refill on the tile. And we get a ton of emails coming in because remember we have this little side thing called Bird Guard we do occasionally. We work with a lot of solar companies. Yep. So these emails are firing in. We're scheduling that and moving those around too. I mean, from however they're coming in, phone call, email, text message, but you're getting leads and you need to dispatch you or a sales rep out there to go look at them.
Boom. Yeah.
So that was your first hire.
Yep. The second one was someone to help with the field operations, just to run the crews. We had 2 crews. I was out putting out fires. I was making sure they had all the material they needed. Guys were showing up, I didn't have a field supervisor. So that was the next thing. So I pulled myself out of
a middleman. So those are those of you listening in the contracting space, the number one position that people undervalue is the middleman. Because you have the owner and then you have the actual crews, and then they don't want to pay the supervisor or the superintendent that whatever job title you want to give them, right? The field manager, field supervisor, people don't want to pay that $40,000 to $75,000 position because they think it's dead weight and it doesn't work, and they're not making you any money in return. They're saving you a ton of time, quality control, all kinds of things. So that was your second hire.
Yeah, I'll tell you, we pay him $70K a year for that role, and it's worth every penny. Absolutely.
Because if not, who's doing it?
I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
You, exactly.
And you know, being on the back end of 6 months and seeing the growth we've had after putting trust in this kind of thing, you know, you don't do it any other way, because you cannot grow it to where you want to be if you're spending time putting out fires. It's impossible.
Love it.
And so now we have a sales rep. You met Connor, I think, a couple times, and he's killing it. But
Connor's not your field supervisor. You have another person.
He's just doing sales. Yeah,
just sales,
just estimating sales.
So he's kissing butt, kissing babies, taking names,
meeting roofing estimators on site.
Yep,
providing, you know, closing deals with the roofers.
Is he straight commission or is he base plus?
He was doing both, but we're moving him to straight commission next month and getting him a truck that's wrapped.
Love it. Yeah.
And taking all his salary away and bumping him a little bit.
Get him hungry.
I think we actually talked about that negotiation, which has happened, and now it's going into place next month, which I'm excited about, because now he's not driving his freaking white Altima around to do site visits. Yeah. You know, what do you want? A white Altima pulling up to your house to do a site visit, pulling a ladder out of the trunk, a little giant ladder, or someone with a nice wrapped truck that says Solar Detach Reset on the side? Yeah. Are we gonna lose the bid?
Yep. It's all and I don't care who you are. If you show up in a wrapped vehicle, nice, clean, wrapped vehicle, and someone shows up in a non-wrapped white Nissan Altima, one, you're probably gonna, just by looks, you have a better chance of getting it. Doesn't mean you just have a better chance. Number two is, you can also, this is a fact, by the way, based off of studies and research, you can actually charge more if you show up in a wrap vehicle with shirts, hats, all of the wrap swag, everything. Instead of, I see roofers all the time. Actually, when I first hired Jesse, you met Jesse, Bald Jesse, lives in Gold Canyon, one of my sales reps. When we hired him, it took us a little bit to get his shirts in, his hats in, whatnot, and he wears flip-flops when he's not. He'll literally wear flip-flops and then put shoes on, go do his roof inspection, get down, and let it put flip-flops back on because he loves flip-flops. He's from Minnesota, so he loves the Arizona heat and the sun and whatnot. And funny enough, so he bald head, didn't have a hat, didn't have polos yet, so he was just wearing like a shirt and flip-flops, selling a roof, right? And I'm like, and he even said, he's like, I wonder how many deals I lost because I didn't have company swag. And his truck wasn't wrapped yet. It was getting, proofs and then dropping it off, getting it wrapped, all that crap. So he didn't have a wrap vehicle, didn't have a hat or a shirt or a polo. And I think he didn't even have a business card. And this is the first 2 weeks while he started. But he was looking at 20 houses a week. And he's like, I wonder how many of those I lost out.
That's such a great question. And that your employees are asking that tells you you're hiring for the right culture for sure. Connor and I are talking about that all the time. Even from the same truck scenario. Let's go back and look at the last 100 jobs. How many more would you have won if you had a wrap truck doing them all? Yeah. You start, how much more money would you have made?
And how many more eyeballs could have seen it apart from closing deals?
Jeez.
How many miles and miles and miles? I mean, just ballpark, you guys, maybe not your installers, but the Connors and your field supervisor and you, on average, you minimum 35,000, closer to 40, if not 50,000 miles a year on your trucks.
Easy. And since we wrapped it too, which I owe it 100% to you for getting these things wrapped. Sure. And because it's not cheap to wrap a vehicle. And
$3,000.
Yeah, you got to throw your damn wallet over the fence. And once you do it, I've had roofers running up, at least half a dozen, running up to me at gas stations and stoplights, throwing their business cards in my window because they need a guy like me so bad. So I can't tell how many relationships.
So I'm telling you, we're going to go into business, or I'm going to start another knockoff of Solar Detach because there's such a niche to it because there's 900 roofing contractors in Arizona. I don't know if it's Phoenix Metro or I think it's in the entire state. From
registered in the state.
Yep. Registered in the state. And out of all of them, maybe 2% of them have either a GC license or an electrical license in order to pull the solar off and or have the team or the skill set to pull it off. And so there's massive, massive need. And solar's getting put up right and left. It's a hot topic right now, right? And it has been for the past 5 years in the Valley, and it's not going away.
Yeah, and just to talk about skill set really quick on it, it's more than just your typical solar installer who's installing the same thing every day, the newest product, opening it out brand new out of a box, right? we have to know how to work on dozens of different types of systems,
Sure.
20-year-old systems, old booby trap things out there that weren't done correctly that are waiting to shock us on the roof when we get up there.
Yeah, assuming it was installed right.
Yeah. And inspectors don't get on the roof,
of course not.
So and that's where we're doing all of our work is up there. So, I mean, I've got all kinds of stories. We don't have the time to talk about this crap that we pulled off the roof, but
Sure.
that may be good for that podcast in the future. But,
There you go.
But yeah, it's it's definitely a specialized skill, and so we do tons of technical talks with our teams all the time about we'll have this week we're focusing on one type of inverter and just training on it and constantly training. So
let's talk about training. How often are you spending? How many employees do you have now?
Yeah, so we're at a dozen.
You have 12 employees?
Yeah, a dozen employees now.
How many did you have 12 months ago before you met me?
Probably, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, maybe 5 or 6. Yeah, so more than doubled in employees.
More than double.
Yeah,
love it.
Payrolls goes up, and it's scary at first, but you got to slingshot it back.
Then you get used to it. Then you're just like, oh, cool. Like my payroll's $100,000 a week.
Yeah,
every Friday.
$100,000 a week, and I had a bunch of old vehicles with no vehicle payments, and now we're starting to get these trucks, and it's like,
and you get payments on. You're like, oh my gosh, the truck payments. I'm like, bro, stop and thinking how much it costs and think how much it's making you.
What's it making you? Which is easy once we see what these other ones are doing, but also just keep driving that top line, right? Keep pushing that top line, increase that, and make it work. Because if you're going to drive around a crappy vehicle, an old truck that you can't wrap, your competition's going to beat you out. That someone else is going to come in and wrap trucks and start doing it. Having some competition in other states, like I said, lights a fire under your butt. You have to go big.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any other way. Yeah.
So what? Those that are listening, like you said, you started your business 3.5 years ago. Mm-hmm. You only had for the first 3 years, you only had about 3 or 4 or 5, 6 employees.
Yeah,
total.
I hired my cousin. That was my first employee. Me and my cousin were out there on the roof. And just knocking out these jobs, doing a lot of bird proofing. I remember our first company party when I had 2 employees, our first Christmas party after being in business for a full year, and promising the guys, like, look, I know bird proofing and cleaning up bird poop sucks, and I promise, like, we're going to stop doing that, and we're going to do detach and reset. Like, that's what I don't know how we're going to do it yet, but we're going to find out. And once I heard about you and started getting some mentorship from you, I was like, this is how we're going to do it.
What did I tell you about the bird proofing? What did I tell you to do?
Oh, man, I don't want to say put it on the back burner, but don't. I think you said out of every 10 posts you do, maybe spend 1 maybe on it. So give it maybe 5-10% of your time. But I need to have all my primary focus on what's making me money.
Yeah, well, and those that are listening, say this out loud. Do you want 10 full roofs or do you want 10 repairs? Mm-hmm. It also depends on what your profitability is on those, because I actually make more money on repairs than I do full roofs. Mm-hmm. But full roofs, it's volume, and it helps me to scale, gives me more exposure. Yeah, there's more risk taken on, but repairs are much more profitable. Mm-hmm. But with you, I said if you can do 10 bird guard, jobs or 10 detach and reset jobs, which one would you do?
I think we equivalent 1 BP job or bird guard job to about 6. I'm sorry, I'm saying that backwards. 1 detach and reset job to about 6 bird guard jobs, just from
in revenue
standpoint.
So it's a 6-to-1 ratio. You have to do 6 bird guard jobs in order to do 1 detach.
Yeah, and on average,
and that's 6 different houses, 6 different clients, 6 different locations, 6 different systems that you have to prove, no matter what the panels are, but 6 different
warranties I got to hold.
Yeah, warranties, all that stuff. Or you go to one house, 1 day, right? Mostly 1 day.
Yeah.
1 day there, and then 1 day to go put it back on. Mm-hmm. But so basically 2 days, or 6 of the other ones.
And it's just it's hard to hire employees for a dirty job like that. We do it, we go do it, and we'll take care of it. That's kind of our entry level for our install crews. Is you got to start off doing BP, learning how to walk on the roofs and treat the panels, and then you advance into the detach reset crews, and that's really where we can start attracting some better talent, guys that actually want to tinker and learn and figure out all these systems and grow into positions.
Well, that, and when you do bird guard, you're not gonna zap yourself. Whereas when you start doing detach and reset, you got volts that could literally go through your entire body and freaking turn you into a crispy cheese crisp.
Yeah, we got electricity and heights, both that we're dealing with every day, and now heat coming on us. So there's all kinds of things trying to take us down out there.
What is your biggest, like, so with my kids, we call it high-low buffalo. You ever heard of that?
No.
So high-low buffalo is, so our kids at the end of the day, going to bed, we'll ask them like, hey, give me a high. Give me something like super awesome that you did today.
Yeah.
And the low is like something that sucked, someone hurt your feelings or, kicked you or you had a bad grade or whatever, or lost your soccer ball. And then the buffalo is like something random.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what's buffalo. Like, what the hell is buffalo doing anything? No, it's just something random.
Yeah.
So, obviously your high is you're killing it. You're having record-setting months, record-setting years, right? You're hiring people going great.
Yeah.
Low is, I mean, we can go into lows all the time.
Yeah.
But what's your, in regards to a buffalo as a business owner, what has your buffalo been that like 3 years in, you're like, I had no idea that I had to pay this or no idea that I had to like implement this into my business or X or Y or Z. Give me some random, give our audience some random fact, like being 3 years in, you're like, I had no idea that as a business owner, I would have to learn this, implement this, buy this, teach this, train this. What's the first thing that came to your mind just now?
Oh man, it has to do with marketing. I think that's because what's the biggest unknown for me, right? I'm a technician. Michael Gerber says it well when he says I had an entrepreneurial seizure as a technician and say I'm going to go start a business one day. And so I guess from the marketing standpoint, I didn't even have a Facebook account when I started a business. And I never planned on having one. And so
it was 3 years ago.
3 years ago, even 8 months ago, and
before I whooped your ass and said, dude, now you're killing it.
I had to go create an account, literally. I didn't have one.
You didn't have Instagram, though. I think you had a half-assed Facebook.
I might have, that I created just years ago and didn't. It was like had to brush the cobwebs off of it. Maybe
Sure.
I had like 6 friends. So
that's funny.
And so I never saw myself going like this with a camera comfortably every day and seeing the value
multiple times a day,
every day, and just pushing value into the social media world. Like that's not me. Being on a podcast, I'm a pretty introverted guy, so I guess just how the business has changed me and pulled me out of that shell and forced me to grow as a person as well.
Taking selfie videos and putting on Facebook and Instagram. You didn't think you'd ever have to do that when you're doing, scooping up bird shit off of a roof, and now pulling solar panels off.
Yeah.
Like, who would have thought that I need to, learn how to use a camera and learn how to use social media and post and educate and add value.
Yeah. And to say something else on the buffalo too, for me is I grew up with a scarcity mindset. And that, seeing that change, buying I never thought I would buy a new vehicle ever in my life. Not that guy. Right.
Sure.
But seeing how, okay, what does it take to get attention? What does it take to turn some heads and some eyeballs? Well, you got to go buy that truck. So trying to learn how to eliminate the scarcity mindset. It's a voice in your head, and you got to tell it to shut the F up sometimes and say no. You're like, that's not what we need to do. We need to push. We need to dominate space.
Well, and that's a shameless plug for my coaching business, right? For Sexy Business Status, is that contractors like you, right, doing however many hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in revenue. And I'm like, hey, like if you implement these 4 or 5, 6 things and you, the best thing about having a coach is one, that scarcity mindset. When you come with me, there's no scarcity. I'm like, you need to be doing 5 million in 2 years. You're like, what? I'm like, yes, you need to be doing 3 million next year. What? What'd you do the year before you met me?
We did
ballpark in revenue.
300,000.
300,000. And this past year, what'd you do?
This past year, we closed out at about 900,000.
900,000.
Yeah.
What'd you do in the first 3 months of 2023? This quarter. Quarter one, what'd you do?
Quarter one, we're already at about, I got to go double check the numbers, but I want to say we're close to 300,000 already in the first quarter. So we're on track to do 1.2. I'm hoping to push and escalate growth even more. I'm shooting for 1.5 this year.
Love it. Yeah. So 300, and then you met me. And not that I did it, but just getting around like-minded people.
You have to see someone. When he talks about the scarcity mindset, someone could explain that to me, and it's not going to do anything.
Sure.
You got to see someone. Oh, that's what he means.
Like doing it,
and get behind him and watch and learn that way. That's how I learn. I got to see.
Sure. So. Yeah, that's huge. And so part of like having a coach is one, they keep you accountable, because I'll randomly text you or call you, or you'll do that to me, and I'll be like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing? Hey, I don't see you. You lost my attention.
Yeah.
Or like, hey, what's your next hire? And then your wife got involved, right? Just recently.
Yeah.
In the marketing.
She hopped back into it. She was actually helping with scheduling. that does not go well with me and her trying to figure that out. We went really quick. So she hopped out to raise our kids to be a stay-at-home mom, and we started saying, hey, I need someone to help with scheduling, because I'm watching these guys. They've got these marketing people who are just all day going around and focused on building relationships, maintaining relationships, getting their brand and exposure out. And she was interested in that stuff, and she liked it. She wanted to do it. So she's been hopping back in, changing her social media posts now. Now she's getting uncomfortable to get comfortable holding the phone.
She's an introvert too. She does not like cameras.
No, she retook that first video probably 10 times at least, But now she's killing it. We were at
love it.
We were at an event the other day, and someone that we wanted to meet got up and spoke, and we said, oh, we got to connect with them. And right after they spoke, they took off and they were leaving, and like other people were still giving speeches. She said, I'll be right back. She gets up like a killer, walks straight through this thing, goes and hunts her down in the parking lot, finds her, sets up a meeting. They're going to go to some happy hour and connect and network, and boom. So I've just been so proud of her, so impressed with her. She's been
it's awesome.
Great. Yeah,
it's great. So apart from the Buffalo, what's your next move?
Yeah, so
where you're at right now, and then so you're on track to do 1.2. You need to do another $300,000 apart from what you're on track to do. So you need to up your game. What's your next move right now? We're in April of 2023. What's your next move for the next 3 months?
So I saw a few things. One, I need another sales guy. It's not good to have one sales guy, Warner. You need two.
Why? This is huge. Pay attention. So he has one. How many field supervisors do you have?
One.
You have one, and you have one sales rep. Ty's going to tell you, and then I'm going to compliment him. He's going to tell you why having one person in one category is super freaking dangerous. Very dangerous. Why?
They get too comfortable, and they don't need to. When everything is coming into one sales rep in terms of the leads, things are going to get dropped and missed, like the small things. It may not be as high of a priority versus the big things. They get picky and choosy, and there's nothing pushing them. There's healthy competition is such a good thing that I'm learning, especially from a sales role. So I think that when you're forced as a sales rep to go out and develop your own relationships and kill it and bring it home yourself, otherwise your partner or your coworker is going to go do it. I think it's just going to create that much drive, because how many relationships I built before hiring a salesperson, and then I hand all those to my first sales guy and say, here you go, buddy. Here's
low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, you're just going to get spoon-fed for all the work that I've put in. But what's going to drive him? What's going to stop him from sitting there and saying, thanks, Ty, and just keep on collecting?
Well, and what happens when you as you grow, you generate more leads, and you generate too many leads for him to handle. Then he gets picky and choosy. Then think about
follow-ups go to the wayside.
Yeah, what's a follow-up? When you're getting so many hot leads, you don't need a follow-up because they're just falling in your lap. You pick the 2 or 3 that you want, and your numbers look great, so you make the owner look great, but in return, you're actually doing a shit job compared to what you should be. What happens if he wants to go on vacation?
Yeah.
What happens if he gets sick?
Yep.
What happens if he gets hurt, whether it's on the job or off the job, right? There's a ton of things, and guess what happens to your sales? Oh. They go to zero. What happens? You all of a sudden become the sales rep again.
Yeah.
So you go out of the CEO role, you go down to the sales role, right? And that could be for a month or 3 months or whatever until you hire and train somebody. So by only having one, you're really at a disadvantage. I love that you said friendly competition, because I have 8 sales reps. I just hired my 9th right now. He's in training.
Yeah.
And they all fight in a good way. They all fight against each other. Like, F you, man. Like, you're not going to be like, enjoy the number one spot for now. Like, I'm going to go, I have 3 refills coming in for 80 grand and blah, blah, blah. And they do that back and forth. And it's nice because when you only have one person, your egos get so big and so inflamed because you think you're the shit, because there's nobody else to be like, there's no pressure. There's no accountability behind it. It's just like, he's the guy and there's only one. And that's why it's huge. And that's why I think also coaching is so important, because as a business owner, when you do start hiring and you do start getting the trucks and you do start getting, some attention and some haters and some this and some that, your ego gets big. And then all of a sudden you think, I don't need coaching, or I don't need that accountability, or this or that. And then you go stagnant, and then you lose momentum.
Yep. Absolutely.
And so there's nobody constantly keeping that pressure, like someone just breathing over your neck, right? Over your shoulder to keep you going. And so that's where having a coach is huge, because as a CEO, who's above you as the business owner? Nobody. Right? No offense. Your wife is not above you in the business. Like, you are the guy. Now, she might be next to you or right beside you helping you out, but very, very few, if any, spouses are going to, they'll support you, but like pushing you out of your comfort zone to grow, that's like almost, that's just not really a thing.
No.
It's just not. They want the best. They want you to succeed. They want you to kick ass. But to like, hey, what are you doing? No, hey, get your ass up, or hey, stay later. Hey, go earlier. Hey, put in that extra hour. Hey, let's do this. Hey, let's do that. It's just not really a thing unless your spouse is working in it 100% with you. And so that's my question is who, and that could be for a guy-girl swap, right? It could be, you could be the woman and be the breadwinner, and then, is your husband pushing you and keeping you accountable, and hey, what's the next growth? What's the next level? That from 1.2 to 1.5, you do 1.2, your wife is tickled pink and you're kicking ass because you did over $1 million, right?
Yeah.
And I'm pissed because you did 1.2, not 1.5. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's we like to call ourselves a better way company. And that's, like you said, don't get stagnant, right? Don't become stagnant. That's one of our core values, actually, is don't be stagnant. And
love it. You have core values?
We got core values. Yeah.
How long ago did you put those in?
About 6 months ago.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, you got to hire for culture. You have to hire for culture. You can't hire for talent. You'll just keep spinning the wheel.
So you mentioned meetings, and I love that you said you have core values. Love that. Talk to me about training and meetings. How often do you have them? Why do you have them? Pros and cons and all that.
Yeah, so every single day our field has a tech talk meeting and a safety meeting. So we go over safety and some technical.
Is this over Zoom or face to face?
This is face to face before our crews are leaving the job.
At your office.
At our office with our field supervisor doing the trainings, and I honestly, that's what I love, hopping in the tech talks, just because it's my one little chance to get in and still talk technical and
give a nugget.
Give a nugget on some stuff that I've seen from a long time ago.
So every morning you meet and you do some sort of training.
Every single morning we're doing safety and technical
real quick, those listening, if you are growing and scaling a business, or you want to start a business, or you do have a business and you're not doing those things, you need to establish core values immediately, because that's how you keep your team on track. And that's how you keep everybody aligned with the mission. Is your mission is aligned with your core values. Anybody that goes off of those core values, they're going away from your mission and your vision, and you need to bring it back in. It's kind of like the commandments or the law or the rules for your business. And if they're going away from those core values, you need to bring them back in and realign them, or they got to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And it's an accountability measure now, because you can go back and you can reference the core values and say, hey, look, we talked about this on day one, and you're straying here, and it's just huge to you got to care about your people and their personal lives and want to grow them more than just ask them to produce for you all the time. You know what I mean? You got to buy in.
Have I? I'm going to call you on the spot. Have you done PPFs with your guys yet? Personal, professional, financial goals.
Half of them. So I'll
half your
honest
employees.
answer is I have half of them that I've gotten through.
Okay.
And the problem I'm struggling with is systems. I need something that's on my calendar that's a frequent, consistent. Okay, we're gonna go do PPFs with all of them. What is it? How often do you do it? Every 4 months. Here's
every quarter.
Here's the tracking measures. Here's all their PPFs and so I need to, because right now it's in notes on my phone. So
that's all you need though. Like, remember this: reduce and simplify. I learned this. I'm LDS. I learned this from my church. They had a huge talk because they're talking about how all these kids are in like 17 different programs. They're doing ice skating and piano and baseball and basketball and volleyball and math and after school lacrosse and like doing all these things. They're going 100 miles an hour. They're like, hey, reduce and simplify, right? Like cut out the craziness and it hit me really hard. And so reduce and simplify. So you can do it on a computer or just on a Word doc. Or you can do it in your notes and literally just write down Connor, goal, 3 goals for personal, 3 for professional, 3 for financial.
Yeah.
Write down those 3 and then write the date above it, right? April 26th, 2023. And then you write those down, and then Q2, go back and say, hey, these are your goals, whether there's numbers behind them or when you want to complete them or working on them. And you go through those, but do it with all of them, all 6 of your employees. And then put it on your calendar Literally just Google Calendar,
Boom,
and go there and be like, hey, and then quarter two, in the quarter two going into quarter three, you just put it on there. You just do one a day. They're already at the office, right?
Yep.
Every day, have one come in. If you have 5 or 6, have one come in 10, 20, 30 minutes before. So Monday, Connor comes in 30 minutes early. On Tuesday, X person comes in 30 minutes early. And you do all of them, 30 minutes and you're done.
Yeah.
Because you go over and say, hey, let's go over your PPFs, where you're at. Have you accomplished any of them? If you have, awesome. If you haven't, okay, cool. And then what's the next step? If they already completed one, set another goal.
Yeah.
And if they haven't, then okay, where are you at? Because some of those goals take a while to complete. Sometimes it might take, like buying a house. It's not like, 30 days later, I bought a house.
But are you stagnant or are you moving? Are you moving in the direction?
Where's your progression? Are you going backwards? Did you give up on it? Or are you haven't done jack shit with it? Or are you making progress and we just need to continue with that progress?
So what do you see? Because I've started to see it a little bit just in doing it with half my employees. But what do you see in them when you're talking about this stuff? Like, I mean, because for me, it's like, it's blowing their mind that someone even cares to talk about this. They've never had this experience before with another employer. I mean, it's developing loyalty. Like this guy cares about me.
I have 75 employees.
Yeah.
And almost all of them will fall on the sword for me because I give a shit, because I care about them. And you're right. Nobody does this. Especially like corporate guys, big businesses, corporate America, nobody does this because they don't give a shit. They just don't. And small business owners don't do it either because it's all about them and like, I want to grow my business and my brand and my this and my that and my profit and my money and my me. When you realize that the reason why you have a business is to help your employees and your clients. In return, you'll be taken care of. But like I have 75 employees. I cut 75 mortgages. I tell them, they're like, oh, how many properties do you own? I said, I own 75.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you own 75 properties? Well, I have 75 employees and they all rent or have a loan on their house. So they have rent or mortgage and I pay for those every month.
Yep.
So I have 75 homes.
Yep.
Right.
Love it.
And as a joke, but like your goal is to employ them and build a culture and environment where they could leave if they wanted to, but they don't stay. They stay because they want to. And that's the biggest differentiator is when you truly understand that might be kind of weird, like you said, because like nobody's ever done this before. It's like, dude, I give two shits because if you're focused on them and their goals, we're all selfish, right? That's how we all start. It's all about me, taking care of me and my family, my income, my business, my whatever. As employees, same thing. Like I'm here to have this job to make sure I can pay my rent and go to my things on the weekends and maybe buy my dirt bike and and go to the lake and buy my kid Target stuff, whatever. And so they're selfish too. But when you reach out to them, because what happens as the owner might be like, oh, I have all these goals, aspirations, these dreams, these visions, and $25 million solar detach and reset, and that's great. But then for them, they're like, I'm just a hamster. I'm just a cog in the wheel. And indirectly, they just are, right? They're a means to help you achieve your goals. But if you can help them along their way achieve their goal, their personal goals, right? Getting out of debt, buying a house, right? Maybe helping out their mother-in-law with something, lose 25 pounds, right? Whatever the case may be, put $1,000 in their savings account. Literally as simple as that.
Yeah.
When you make that a priority, they see that you care. They're naturally going to want to come to work more, and they're going to be happier, and they're going to try that little 1% harder to reach the company's goals because you're going down to them and helping bring them up.
And this is exactly why coaching is needed because of this conversation right here. I literally right after this, I will go set a meeting and re-kick that, revamp, be like, boom, not just half. Like, let's get everyone done now. Let's put it on the calendar. Let's go. And you need someone like that telling you this stuff so that you do these things, so that you see this, so it pushes you into the right direction. Because you just get, again, so spread thin with everything going on. It's like, what's priority? And how do you make it go?
And you get into routines, right? Yeah. You get into routines and habits that are good and they help your business, but at the same time, it's like every once in a while you'll have that CEO business owner mentality, but then you go back into the owner operator real fast because that's where you are. It's where it's comfortable. There's more instant gratification. A lot of CEO stuff when you're the CEO of your business, you really don't have it's very lonely up there because you're by yourself. Because you're at 30,000 feet, nobody else is at 10,000 feet or even ground level.
It's hard to get people to see up there, for sure.
Yes. Yeah. And so, but when you have somebody that's at 30 or someone that's at 40 and sees you and says, hey, come up here and come look at this. Very, very few people see what you're doing. They think you're just hanging out and you're, going to the happy hours and you're doing this and that, when it's reality, like you're doing all the back end stuff, like, oh, this system got implemented and this process got implemented, and all of a sudden we have more leads magically, right? Like all those things. And people don't, that's what the CEO does, right? That's how we roll. And so that's what that'd be my biggest thing, whether it's coaching or, like I said, the PPFs. That's something that I learned from my mentor and that I use in my business, and Dory does with 25 employees every 3 months.
Yeah.
And we do that. And now there's people that, I've had 2 or 3 ladies, it doesn't matter if it's a guy or a girl, but 2 or 3 ladies specifically in the past, this year, in the past 90 days, in tears because they hit a goal that they've been wanting to forever. One of them was weight loss. One of them was actually October of last year. She wanted to take her kid to Disneyland. And she talked about it in like March of last year. Finally, for Halloween, she was able to take her daughter to Disneyland because, one, she made enough money, but 2, I knew about that and I helped her financially reach goals to be able to send her to Disneyland with her daughter. That was like a huge, huge one of her PPFs.
Yeah.
But if you don't know what your employees want, you might be incentivizing them in the wrong way.
Yeah.
They might not want money. Everybody says, I want money. Some people really don't want money. Everybody's like, oh, we all want money. Yeah, but they're going to spend it on stupid shit anyways. But instead of that, what if they wanted just a better piece of equipment for work? They wanted a nicer tool belt. They want brand new $200 boots instead of the shit ones that you get at Payless or whatever, right? And so when you write down those PPFs, you know what it is. And so it's like, hey, instead of me giving you money, hey, what's the balance on your credit card you want to pay off? Oh, it's $750. Dude, here's $250 for kicking ass.
Yeah.
But give me your credit card and I'll pay it on your credit card, because if not, you're going to spend it on beer and cigarettes or Quick Trip, right? And just stupid stuff.
Yeah.
And so when you know what their goals are and you help them achieve those goals, naturally your business is going to thrive because they are going to want to achieve the business's goals.
And, I think marketing, culture, and systems and processes. You ask me where I'm going, I think it's focusing on those 3 things hard over the next remainder of this year and seeing where that pushes me.
I love your marketing though. Your marketing game is getting on point. I love the orange, got the trucks. I love the hashtag that we put on top of the roof.
We just, super excited. We just picked up this drone. We're starting to shoot some footage with the drone now to get some more attention with that. So whatever we can do to catch an eye. I was actually talking to my wife about getting a train horn for this truck that we just got. And I'm like, why would I want a train horn? That's obnoxious. Like that's a little pump. I'm like, no, because I can make people think about me with a sound now and get in their subconscious. As I'm driving away, pulling in, it's like, oh, there goes. And I think I heard it from you. You were driving away, you honked your horn one time, and I was inside a building. Someone I didn't even know said, oh, there goes Jason. I said, Jason just made at least 20 people in this room think about him by pushing a button on his way out the building just one more time. And that's why he's doing it. It's not, he's doing it because that's the attention that he wanted when he put it in.
I don't do it when I'm driving by myself on the 60 and there's nobody around. Like, I don't just push the train horn. No, I do it to scare people and in a funny way, right? I do it before and after events, pulling up to events. And it's like, call it cocky, call it stroking your ego, call it whatever. But to me, it's more of getting attention, because I'll do it when I show up to an event, like a mixer, or that I hit that. Those that know me know, here comes Jason. And if not, they'll say, who is that? Even if they say, who is that douchebag or who is that asshole? Like, it's me. And then they realize that's me. And then they realize who I am. They're like, oh, that's just a way of how he gets attention. And then when I leave, they're like, oh, Jason's leaving. Right. And so that's one of the reasons why I do it. I do it in my neighborhood. I have kids at the schools doing that. So when they see me and they see my truck in the driveway, they're like, dude, will you honk your horn? Well, guess what? Those kids have parents, and those parents have roofs. And so not if, but as like, and I'll let the kids, almost like a fire truck. I've had random kids literally hop in my lap and press the horn with
You think their mom and dad's not going to buy a roof from you?
Yeah, I was like, and it's either going to be 2 extremes. Either they're going to love me and think it's hilarious, or they're not going to use me and they think I'm an asshole. And they're not going to use me anyways at that point, so I don't care. Yeah. But that extra 10, 20, 30%, that could be 5, 10 roofs at $15,000 a pop.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, but more than anything, it's getting attention and going there. So, Ty, as we wrap up, one, how can our audience get a hold of you? Whether you're a roofer or whether you are a business owner that's looking to get solar, or already have solar on your roof, you're going to need Ty. So, what's the fastest, easy way to get a hold of you?
SolarDetachPro.com.
SolarDetachPro.com.
Check
Okay.
out SolarDetachPro.com. You can find all our contact info there. You can submit an email.
What about
for
socials?
response. Socials are Ty the Solar Guy for
Yeah.
the handle. And
That's how you're on my phone, by the way.
perfect.
Still
Yeah.
Ty the Solar Guy. I typed in Detach and nothing came up, and I'm like, how do I not have freaking Detach in my phone? And then I typed in solar, and then I had a ton of solar contacts, but it says Ty the Solar Guy. I'm like, oh, it's literally Ty the Solar Guy.
Yeah, yeah.
On
Maybe
Instagram.
we should switch that to Detach. See that
No.
that makes me think though, right?
Yeah.
If people are searching Detach, how do we get into that? So, but also on our website, I just wanted to point out we do have a link on there with our preferred roofing partners. It's very important we don't ever refer a roofer over anyone else to maintain relationships with. I think we did a count. It's about 70 roofers that we have worked with and we're working with.
Love it.
So if you go
We're
there
on
now,
there.
you'll check it at the very top because, of course, we love working with these guys and the companies we keep at the top are because they're the best. So you'll see him right at the top of that list. So check that out as well.
Love it.
Awesome.
Love it. Cool. All right, Ty, appreciate you, brother. Thanks for hopping on. This is the Sexy Business Status Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Payne. My boy, Tyler Hutchings with Solar, Detach, and Reset coming in here, drop some bombs, mostly roofing and solar related, but also how to grow and scale your business. He's already doing that right now. Like I said, went from 300,000 to 900,000, going to clear $1 million, shooting for 1.2.